Greetings to all the listeners and AvGeeks around the world. Welcome to the third episode of Airworthy Talks by Udan Aviation Academy. I'm your host Shubhashish Modak, L&D head at Udan Aviation Academy. We are a growing aviation learning platform that came into existence with a mission to trim down the gap between industry and academia. For today's podcast, we have with us the young and accomplished airline revenue management expert, Mr. Sai Thota. Now, like you and me, he is an aviation enthusiast at heart. On a professional front, he works as a revenue management consultant at a leading Middle Eastern airline, Kuwait Airways. Previously, Sai has been in the capacity of a flight analyst with India's former premium carrier, Jet Airways. Even before which he worked as a route analyst with the regional airline, Air Costa. Sai, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, Subhashish. Good afternoon. I'm doing good. Thank you for the opportunity, first of all, and thanks, Udan Aviation Academy. And you guys are doing really great job by getting all the, like, not interviews or something, but making all these events done and getting the aspiring aviators to know what's happening in the industry and how they would grow, what they are supposed to learn. So it's really nice and good to be part of this.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Sai, for your valuable time. Now, revenue management is a very cloudy subject when it comes to common people. Not many people don't know about the science behind what goes into making this multi-billion-dollar aviation industry afloat. Can you tell our listeners as to what is revenue management in simple layman's language?
Simple layman's language, I say it's as simple as selling a tomato or a bygone in the normal market. So it is as simple as, like, because once the aircraft flies with the seat empty, so it's a loss for the airline, right? So as a revenue manager or a revenue management professional, you need to know how you're supposed to sell that seat. So it is not that a salesperson or a marketing person sell it, but it is like you need to know, like you need to analyze how the season for that particular day and that particular week and how it's going to react and how the passengers are going to react for the same. So it's as simple as selling a tomato or something. So once it is ripened so good, no one is going to buy that. Once it's spoiled, no one is going to buy that, right? So it is as similar as flying a seat empty. So
Right.
it is like selling a right seat to a right person at right time at a right price to a right passenger. So it's normal general thing that like a revenue manager will be knowing like how and when to sell that seat.
Right, absolutely right. And there is a saying in aviation that once the aircraft doors are closed, all the unsold seats are lost forever. And it's
Yes.
you guys who make sure that every seat is sold, keeping in mind obviously the revenue targets of the airline and also the common people's idea to have a fare which is liked by many. Right. So it's all about the balance between both the people's choice and obviously the company's choice. Now, Sai, with this, I can make out that there is a lot of number crunching which takes place at your job role. So
Yes.
what is the day in the life of yours, or what is the day in the life of an airline's revenue manager?
Basically, if you join as an analyst I'm just telling at the starting level. So what do you do is you'll get a big dump of huge reports with you. So you have a planning team, analysis and planning team who support you always, and a demand analyzing team and a pricing team who supports you always. So you're the person, and also inventory and reservation teams will also help you. So you're a person who is supposed to take care of all these things in mind. I mean, take help of all these people around you, and you're supposed to tweak and analyze all the reports, whatever you get, and start your day with. And it is like, say, if you are supposed to check your day zero, I mean, day of departure flight also. So, of course, if you start your work at morning 9 o'clock, you can't do anything for the flight which is just in 1 hour, or maybe for the afternoon flights or the evening flights, you can definitely make a difference if you check that day's flight. So it is as simple as that. Like you're supposed to check your day zero flight, day 1 week's flight, and a special day's flight coming in. And if you're into different projects and if you're into different things, I mean, you're allotted with different projects related to systems or analysis. and all these things. You're supposed to attend all those meetings, and you're supposed to give your ideas and develop thoughts for how do you generate revenues. Okay, and you need to always collaborate with the marketing sales team and make sure that you make daily calls with the sales and marketing team, that you are actually how they are performing in those, like for the stations or the destinations which you are responsible for. You're supposed to keep in touch with the sales team there in those destinations, and uh, and also the network planning team who always take your suggestions for the route to continue or route to increase frequencies or reduce the frequency, or how are they performing. So all these things come in matter for your daily work. So that's how it is. So these all are confined to the number of routes you're responsible for. So one thing we need to keep in mind is, so you're the heart of an airline. As in revenue management is the heart of airline. That means you're heart of the whole industry. So once you, it's. I'm not saying that you're the only person who is responsible whole and soul for everything for the whole industry. Of course, the sales team or whatever, everyone is responsible. But it is you, once you open the flight, it is you who is giving the inventory. I mean, the supply and demand for the industry is within your hands. So you have to be so responsible that, say for me, like as we joined together, like me and my friend, we used to think like, okay, I got 3 lakh revenue for my flight today. So I got one of my colleagues salary for his year. So that's how we are supposed to be responsible for. So that's how it is. So you are in a great role. In fact, you play a great role in getting revenues for the industry, I say.
Absolutely right. And you rightly mentioned about revenue management being the heart of the airline. And it's not only you are looking at yourself as an individual, but as you mentioned about you and your colleagues, things about revenue coming in means money for your fellow colleagues as well, in terms of so many things. Talking about revenue management, not many people think revenue management, it's a journey which is not by choice, it is by destination. Okay, you end up being a revenue management because people, when they join aviation industry, they think about becoming a pilot or a cabin crew or even a engineer these days. Okay, so what has been your journey and why only revenue management?
Frankly speaking, if we see, like maybe now, as in our generation, we are emerging into different aviation professionals. First of all, I'm an electrical engineer. Okay. After that, I wrote my CAT and I got into University of Petroleum and Energy Studies into aviation management. Okay. So it was my dream to become an aeronautical engineer first. So I couldn't get through that during my entrance. I mean, all this MSET, AIEEE, and all these during that time. It was almost 12 years back, 15 years back maybe. So that time when we joined, I couldn't get into aeronautical. So when I got this as a choice, so my dad said, okay, that should be fine because you wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. Maybe that time you didn't get a choice. Now you got a choice. So try doing this. Many of them actually, it's not a discouragement, but they were actually saying it's a narrow field because you have if you're into IT or an electrical or whatever, you have so many companies for you to get into. So it's an IT, if you're into an IT, because my complete family is filled up with software employees. Okay. So they are
Right.
completely into IT, morning to night. It's a hectic job for them, I say. So it is, it's like they're new to it. So it's a narrow field and you don't have so many companies to work. So it's hardly in fingers we count on like how many airlines we have in India, right? And how many
Mhm.
companies we have related to aviation. So it should be GMR or GVK airports or Adani airports or whatever, consultancies or whatever. So, and many of them said, so what do you do in aviation? It's just flying, and are you going to serve like a maid in like crew? Okay,
Right.
so
Yeah.
or a pilot, and pilot's job is so hectic or whatever, because people are not aware like what actually aviation is. So it could be a revenue management professional or a marketing and a sales guy who belongs to airline, or there's so many detailed professionals in our industry where people doesn't know. It is just only the face of an airline, like okay, at the max they know about, I mean, the cabin crew or the cockpit crew, and the max they know is the aircraft engineer.
Yeah.
Other than these, they don't know what will happen. Or a ground staff at the maximum. So what are you going to do? You're going to do check-ins or what? These are what questions they were asking me. So of course, even we had an opportunity after our first year when we completed. During our MBA, we completely half of my batch got placed directly into Air India SATs. It could be ground staff or whatever, but they got placed directly along with their MBA. So that's how it is. People doesn't know what it is. So when I got a call from Air Costa Aviation, so I was, you know what, my during my MBA, my projects and my dissertation were completely into airports. So I was really surprised to get a call from Air Costa. So it was all through my seniors, especially my seniors or the alumni from my university, who actually helped me out to get into that. And of course, it's an indirect placement, in fact. So that was my journey. So once I got into revenue management, that was just before 2 months before I complete my MBA. I got into, and it was really, say, once I started my journey into revenue management, I learned like how numbers play a great role in your life. And you know what? I used to hate economics so bad.
Yes.
And now my life has become demand, supply, price, and completely economics. And now I'm teaching airline economics. So that's how it is. So it was I don't say an unexpected thing, but I say it's a destiny. But it's a like God designed destiny. And I feel so happy and I feel proud for what am I today.
Absolutely right, Sai. And we don't know where life may take us to, but it's ultimately for the good.
Yeah.
And it's great to know your secrets of life as to how initially from an engineering background you turn out to be this day-to-day economics
Yeah,
guy.
and you know what? Being an engineer, I mean, a techno-commercial person, I'm not degrading any other BCom or any other graduates, but then I feel we crunch numbers so fast. Being an engineer, I don't know. I'm sorry if you guys are not from engineering, but then I feel for sure numbers, tuck, 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 like counting numbers every day, every flight, I mean, the pricing, whatever we do, the number of the calculation of RASK and everything. It's not that you don't need to be fast. You'll have a calculator, everything will be done and easy. But then I say being an engineer, like me being an engineer, it was easy for me. So it's really good. Like say my journey from Air Costa, I was into I was given monopoly routes. Okay, so these monopoly routes, making it a matured market, it will take so much time for an airline, a route to get matured. Okay, so and after getting mature, you'll get Indigo or Spice will completely get into the market with a lot of frequencies, with so much of capacity pushing in. So then sustaining in that market, being a monopoly route king once, and again sustaining in healthily with a healthy competition in market is also so tough. So I was taking care of all those things, and once I moved to Jet Airways, even there, being I don't say I'm an expert or something, but then getting experience with these monopoly markets and making them a good in the routes of the market, making it so healthy a competition. I was given a lot of new routes and making them matured, and then handing over to others, and again getting new markets, and again taking care of old markets and metro markets, and so a lot of things, in fact. So it's completely piled up with so many routes and so much of experience. Different experiences. Different routes give you different experience. Each route
Absolutely.
has its own demand, has its own supply, and that all, every route, every day, in fact, gives you a new experience, new learning for you in RM. But of course, at the last, do you think it is just like controlling price, controlling fares up and down, up and down? But it's not up and down. Every day is a new day. Every flight is a new flight, because you don't know how and when passengers demand comes in.
Right. True, true. And you mentioned so many secrets about the aviation industry, particularly about routes and mature markets and monopolistic approach and all of that. I just wanted to ask one thing, and this is for all our listeners. What is that one secret about revenue management that you know, but the common passenger don't even know about that?
It is not like one secret. There are so many secrets, and I can't put all the trade secrets out. It is. It's as simple. Passenger definitely knows that, yeah, it's a Monday morning, it would definitely be a bigger price. And if it's a Friday evening or a day before Diwali or a day before Christmas, or it would definitely be a. But it is like there are no any closed secrets or something, but then they need to actually make a track of, say, if you want to travel somewhere, they need to keep a track on at least 1 week, like how the pricing has been keeping fluctuating. So it should be a Tuesday or a Wednesday where you don't have demand. Also, sometimes you'll have all of a sudden demand. So they need to know how they need to keep a track. If you're traveling, of course, sudden travel is a sudden travel. That or a sudden travel, or I mean, emergency travel, you'll definitely buy for whatever you want to. But then, if you are planning for something, I say they need to keep a track at least a week, 1 week pricing. They need to check how which airline, how much they are selling for, which day of week. Of course, these things they know, but they need to keep a track on what time they want to fly and what are the other benefits on each airline they're going to get. Say maybe a Vistara, if you're flying on a Vista, I mean a full service carrier, an example, you'll get a meal on board and you can happily get down at your destination. You can go back. So they need to keep on track. Like, okay, you're paying this much, 3,000 rupees for a flight, and for Indigo, it just give you a cup of water, right? Even
Right.
only after you ask that too. So you need to know like these things. Okay, passenger will think, okay, Indigo is flying for less. We can pay less there, and you can actually fly. But then you need to know what is the total product of an airline. So you need to track on what. And one more thing is, I observe passengers doesn't actually care for terms and conditions once they get the ticket. If passenger doesn't know, they will again start scolding the RM guys. In fact, they'll definitely scold us. I'm the okay. You're the culprit behind, so you are the one who do up and down. I mean, the fares up and down. So you're the culprit, and they start scolding us. So they doesn't know that every price level has its own rules and regulation. We define rules, I mean terms and conditions for every price. Okay, and passenger doesn't know that. So it is his responsibility because it's his pocket. He's paying from his pocket. He need to. I mean, he need to read every line of terms and conditions once he get the ticket copy to him. So say if he buy for a low fare, he doesn't know that if he cancels, he doesn't get a pie back. Okay, so if he buys for the highest price, he can actually cancel the ticket and rebook it for free. Passenger doesn't know that. He might, oh God, I bought the ticket for 15,000 rupees. I can't cancel it now. If I cancel, I might not get a single rupee back. But then we have like, because he's paying the highest fare, that fare will have different rules that he might not uh, pay for cancellation or rebooking charges, right? So this is one of the main secret, not secret or something. Passenger actually he's not responsible. I don't say responsible. It is very few of the passengers actually go and check the terms and conditions. So they have to check the terms and conditions.
Right. I mean, couple of points for our listeners out here. So next time, whenever you book a ticket, please go through the terms and conditions because that's where a lot of secrets may lie in as to how their journey goes forward to. Talking about people, scolding RM, one of the common things which people they find, I won't say unethical, but they are worried about is the airlines overbooking, and then we see incidences like the United Airline ones dragging passengers off the flight. So what according to you as a revenue manager, and this is the right time for you to remove the dirt off your shoulders as to how ethical is it for airlines to overbook?
See, every airline has its own policies, how to work and how to work and how are you supposed to overbook? Like they have their own policy. So every government, as in say MOCA, I mean our Ministry of Civil Aviation has its own terms and conditions given to airline. If you are overbooking, okay, you have so many things to compensate the passenger. Okay, so those are things have to be done. And say as a revenue guy, for me as an employee, so you are completely given the total freedom to do whatever you want to. Okay, so it's of course you have your own limits, but you are questionable. Of course, you are questionable, but then you need to have your own rationale. Why are you actually doing that action, or why are you taking that step? First thing is when you overbook a flight, you're supposed to make sure that you're getting that denied boarding cost also in your hands. When do you overbook the flight? When you know that there is a great demand coming in that flight, you'll definitely overbook it, right? So when you know that great demand coming in, you will definitely make sure that you're going to sell all the seats in a higher price. And when you sell the seats in higher price, and obviously you'll get the complete cost on denied boarding cost or whatever cost implied, like according to the policy of that particular country's rules or that particular civil aviation's rules and your airline's policies all together. As a revenue manager or as a route manager, you're supposed to know how much you're getting in. I mean, the money. Okay, so this is the first thing. So I say it is completely ethical. So how much ever the passenger scolds us or whatever, it is completely ethical. And of course, that is what I've specially mentioned. The terms and conditions are supposed to be read. So you're supposed to reach the check-in counter before 45 minutes before the check-in counter closes. So if you are not reaching that counter, you're closed. That's it. The flight is closed, obviously. So that's how it is. Of course, if you reach by that time, you will definitely given a compensation for sure, right?
Right.
You're given a compensation, you're given a hotel accommodation, and you're given the next flight freely. You're rebooked into the next flight. So we are offering you, if you paid for 15,000 rupees, I'm offering you almost 30,000, double the cost of what I have inclined on one particular flight. I am almost paying you the double, in fact. So until unless it's up to your emergency, right? So he might give a bad review for me on different platforms, but then frankly speaking, we don't care. We are getting money, right? Uh, At the day end, we are getting money. Okay, you need to have that ration. I mean, as a revenue manager, you will have that ration. Okay, I got this money. You are questionable. There are so many situations happened in every airline. Definitely media coverage, everything will be there for sure, right? So there will be so many things happening with the airline and airlines end, and also showing that to the public that okay, this airline has overbooked it. It is completely ethical, and every airline has its own policies in confined with the government of that particular, government's DGC or MOCA, whatever that country is confined to. So it is completely ethical, I say. And of course, they're going to make sure that they are giving completely to the passenger the double.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely right. So yeah, I mean, to all our listeners out here, I have also experienced this. Is that there is a lot of science which goes behind overbooking. It's not as if the airlines they just come up that morning and they say, hey, you know what, we'll overbook our flights today and we'll make passengers suffer.
Yeah,
That's
and
not.
in fact, sorry to interrupt. We analyze so much. We know a Monday morning flight will definitely go full. We know it has a great demand, and of course, we know there are so many passengers who will definitely get stuck in the traffic and they can't reach the flight on time. So it is one of small simple reason I told you. So
Mhm.
it is not that, see, if the flight capacity is 100 and you don't overbook seats more than 10. Okay, it is just like 3 or 4 seats you overbook. That is just the little minimal extra revenue you get on that particular flight, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
that's how it is.
Absolutely right. The industry is going through a lot of challenging times, and this pandemic has definitely added more to it. So, I just wanted to sort of know, as to from the revenue management perspective, what are the challenges which you are currently facing in this pandemic?
Say it's a day-to-day challenge. In fact, frankly speaking, we don't know what's happening in the world, right? Every day is uncertain. It has become uncertain every day. Okay. And every flight has become uncertain. And it is like every day you don't know what is the count of the COVID cases increasing in every country. And all of a sudden, we have seen past 1 week how we have been, in India, a lot of rise in the cases, right? So maybe if it's Europe, especially, we have seen past 1 year Europe and UK, Europe, US. Of course, US is open, no problem. But Europe and US, UK especially, we have seen a lot of uncertainty. In fact, say every day these governments, say it could be like me working, me being employee of Kuwait Airways, I've seen a lot of changes coming from each country. Say France, Italy, Spain, Germany, these countries, special and other European countries, every day they have been changing policies for the travel restrictions, especially. So, and also they have travel restrictions for the passengers coming in from different countries, right? So every day there is a change. Every day there is a change. So because of this change in every day, There is a lot of change. Say maybe if you're booked a flight for next week, you don't know whether you'll really fly or not in the present situation. Okay. And it is like, okay, if you're flying some particular destination in Europe, passengers were really worried, and they like a lot of cancellations, and a lot of the incoming revenues were also not certain. Okay. The demand pattern has changed. Everything has got changed. And I say completely, it's basically demand schedule. So maybe for the next 2 days, you don't know if you're really flying or not. So if the flight is not, all of a sudden you see a lot of downfall in the passenger load. I mean, the load factors. So you observe there is no demand. Okay, you cancel the flight. Okay. And if you, and you might see, okay, you will observe that, okay, some news coming in that your country might close after 2 days, or there is a lockdown after 2 days. You'll have a sudden, all of a sudden, huge demand in those flights for the passengers to reach their destination. Okay, so every day has become uncertain. It's completely a demand schedule going on right now. And of course, there are few major routes where they are actually trying to fly. The airlines are trying to fly their major route. Say maybe if it's in India or US or other countries, you see a lot of, the domestic demand is trying to be normal. Of course, it's not normal, but they're getting used to, say COVID as a new normal for them. Like internally in every country has their own, the demand has been getting into this new normal thing. But then when you want to travel international, it has become completely uncertain. And it's like at least one day before we, like even yesterday, day before also, we have canceled flights for different countries. So
Right.
that's how it is. And it's completely uncertain, and this has become it's a huge challenge for airline actually to sustain. You know how many aircrafts are on ground? Almost 50%, more than 50% of the aircrafts are actually on ground right now. I mean, the whole worldwide, right? And you
Right.
see a lot of like so many people are. Because aircrafts are on ground, a lot of employees are also on ground. So it has become a great. It has made a great impact and change in the industry.
Right. With, obviously pandemic is no different. I mean, aviation industry is no different in this pandemic. Every industry is suffering, and obviously with the different variables with aviation industry deals with, and the international nature of the air travel industry, it has definitely been one of the bad hit industry in this pandemic. But from what I can understand, is that revenue management, although despite of the challenges as to what it has, it can be a rewarding career. And when I hear to students, they express their feeling about becoming revenue management professionals, because and this is the line which I quote from you. You always say that love is not in the air, love is in the fair. And they understand that revenue management is the money making part of the airline industry. So if someone is looking to join the managerial side of the industry, or sort of a career progression in revenue management, what are the general colleges they should look for, and how their career progression should look going forward?
Okay, so if I say colleges in India are very less, you know. If you say it's abroad, I say Coventry University, Concordia, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and Singapore Institute of Technology, which is affiliated to National University of Singapore, and there are a lot of colleges in Australia and Canada also, and Emirates Aviation University. So there are many universities which are outside the country. I mean, outside India. I first suggest it's almost the same cost which you are actually keeping it here to even outside the country also. So if it's in India, I'll definitely first say is University of Petroleum and Energy Studies. I'm the alumni from the same university. And you have Hindustan University, you have Rajiv Gandhi Aviation Academy, which is from MOCA, Ministry of Civil Aviation, which has started recently, I believe. So that is one which is giving you PGD in aviation management. And recently, HAL, Hindustan
Limited, yeah.
Aeronautics Limited. Yeah, so they have also started a course in PGD in aviation management and maintenance, I believe. So, like, there are so many colleges emerging out in India right now with the same concepts. As in, there are so many colleges who are offering logistics and supply chain along with aviation. So one thing you need to have is when you are choosing a profession as a revenue management or whatever an airline, you should have that passion for you to live in this sky, I say. Okay. And second thing is, you once you get into that, you should know how you are supposed to sustain in that sky.
Right.
Okay. So that's how it is. If you have passion, you'll definitely withstand for sure. Okay. And when you
Right.
have that passion, I suggest only if you have passion, take this course, or else no. Because we as in aviation, you know how uncertain we all are living in. So it's not only the present pandemic. You can see if there is a terrorist attack or some you like 4 or 5 years back, we have volcanic eruptions and a lot of gas emissions in Europe, near Germany, I believe. So a lot of demand change happened during that time. Like
Mhm.
flights were not supposed to fly in that sky zone, and also that so many, like whatever happens in world, what anything happen, like we are the one who are affected, right? So
Absolutely.
it is not only, of course, the pandemic is a great impact, has a great impact, but then you need to know like living in that uncertainty. So if you have passion, you get into this. That's it.
Absolutely right. And there is a saying in aviation that aviation is one such field where there is no divorce. Once you are married to aviation, it's very difficult to get divorced out of it. Right. So everyone loves talking about money and salaries. So just for our listeners, what are the expected pay grades for someone in a similar role?
Say maybe if it's someone who's starting a career in aviation management, maybe he might start with 6.5 lakh or something right now. Maybe that is the thing which they are giving. I think they are giving. So, but then even if they start with that, they're supposed to have an MBA or a master's in air transportation. I'm telling you about in India. So if it's outside the country, so it should be around like obviously around like 20 to 25 lakh for them. Maybe if they're, say if they have done their masters in air transportation in UK, Europe, or somewhere, they get placed in Qatar. I mean, the Middle Eastern airlines, so they'll definitely get around like 20 to 25 lakhs per annum. I mean, the Indian rupees, I'm telling. So that's how it is. So if you're starting a career in that, and of course, later that depends on your hard work or what you're sustaining in the industry.
Right. Quite promising figures out there, and that is why these are the unknown jobs in the industry which people don't know about. But these jobs are equally rewarding in terms of career opportunities and also in terms of finances. Obviously, the aviation industry is known for its dynamic nature. Every year there is something or the other which comes up, and pandemic is no different. We are seeing new and innovative ways as to how the industry is tackling this pandemic. But when it comes to revenue management as a particular field in aviation, how do you see the future of revenue management? Is it going to be something which is completely tech driven, or there has to be a combination of both humans as well as machines out here?
We have been discussing, it's all uncertain, right? So of course it's tech driven, and we all use different systems, and we of course system helps you out a lot to know like the demand, supply, and everything, and how to tweak the flight, and how to manage, I mean, how to manage the flight, and how giving a lot of parameters, and how the forecast have been like how much ever you forecast as an like as you as a revenue manager, you forecast a lot of on the flight. You have a lot of expectation that your flight will definitely go good and all. But then on the last day of departure, you'll find, okay, no, my flight will not go good, and you'll realize something else. So it's not that it's completely tech driven, or it is not completely manual or something. Of course, you need to go along with the technology and all. And it is, of course, whatever technology or whatever systems you're using, it is completely manual. I mean, you're supposed to tweak the flight, and you will know like how the flight will go, and you will be definitely giving it through your manual inputs. Okay. And then say if I say the future of revenue management is, it's of course some 20 years back, not 20, some 30 years back, there was no revenue management concept at all. Of course they've been developing it a lot. Frankly speaking, it is we I mean It's our Indian stalwarts who got settled in the Middle Eastern big careers, who are IIT, IIMs, and all, who were actually the people who gave to all these American the Western country, the softwares or whatever we are going through. So they are the stalwarts who actually given those RM ideas for them. So I say it's say we have been keeping improving in our ideology or the technical the systems which support us a lot. So we have been keeping improving and uh, checking on what are different options or fields or where we get revenues, like how are you going to milk from different options you're having in. And the concept of ancillary revenue have been grown past 6 7 years. Before that there was no concept of ancillary revenues at all. So you have been developing different concepts on how you're getting money from the passengers, not only selling a seat, but with different options within your hand. So of course I say maybe in future we see a lot of artificial intelligence coming in revenue management. So that's how it is. So of course, according to the technology we are developing, and the ideology of the revenue managers have been giving great input for every flight. I say every route, every flight, every day. So I say systems and manual. It's supposed to go hand in hand. Of course, the systems are given the human brains, right? Human brains are giving the inputs to those. So there's a great I think artificial intelligence is going to give a great impact on revenue management in future.
Right, perfect. Like every other disruption in any industry, AI and machine learning are definitely playing their part, and RM is no different. Now, we have got a lot of industry professionals as well who listen to our podcast, and I am sure that there will be quite of aspiring revenue managers out there. So, what is your golden advice to this aspiring revenue managers?
First thing is you should have passion for what you're doing, okay? And second thing is you are supposed to be so responsible for what you're working for, because as I said you, it's the heart of airline. The company's revenue or the money coming in will definitely depend on how you're working on, right? Your day-to-day life, or how you're working, and how responsible are you towards your work and your flights. And I say you should have passion for what you're doing. I mean, when you're choosing this uh, say as airline revenue management as your profession, and you need to know what's happening in the world and the routes which you're dealing with, and what's happening, and how every small incident or an event will definitely impact on air. Okay, so you're supposed to have that day-to-day things, what's happening in aviation and around the world. So, and you need to be good in numbers. That's one of the most important thing. You need to be good in numbers, and you need to be good in making reports, and you need to be good in making. Say all these reports and all these things. So that's how it is. You should be good in numbers. You should be good in making reports, Excel. And you should be good in Excel, and you need to know what's happening around the world, and you need to have that. Good communication skills where because day-to-day life in a revenue management, as I told you, you'll be dealing with a lot of other departments like sales, marketing. Not only your internally, you'll be dealing with the pricing, demand, planning and analysis team, and so many other people internally in revenue management itself, and then you are supposed to deal with so many other people around. So you need to know all these things. So I don't say it is not easy or it is tough or something. It's a moderate job, but then you're supposed to be so responsible, and you need to have that passion for for the work you do for.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it's all about being versatile. Every job role in aviation industry is versatile, and RM is no different. Obviously, you need to have your skill set, but at the same point of time, you need to have those soft skills as well, good communication skills, and good intrapersonal skills, presentation skills, and so on and so forth. Right. Moving on to our next section, which is called as the rapid fire round with expert. I'm going to
Okay.
ask you some questions, and you just need to give this one liner answers to me on that.
Okay,
So,
sure.
My first question to you is, are you a price sensitive passenger or a service sensitive passenger? Yeah.
Service sensitive.
Service sensitive. Perfect. Perfect. Now, Sai, if not a revenue analyst, then what you would have done in your life?
I mean, you meant to say aviation or any other, or only in aviation?
Anything. If
Okay, if
revenue
it's in
management.
aviation, if it's
Yeah.
not revenue management, I could have been in airport operations. If it's not aviation, then I could have been a software employee.
Wow. Great. There is this constant trend which is going on, and I'll rather ask you the same: work from home or work from office.
Work from home is more comfortable, of course, but then work from office will definitely give a different impact on what you work. I mean, how you work.
Right. The next question is quite touchy out here. Do you feel that automation will take your job at some point of time?
Never, never. As I told you, of course, artificial intelligence would definitely give a great impact, but then without a manual input, I don't know. Let's see. But then for me, I don't know. I can't accept this at all.
Right.
Especially,
Definitely.
yeah, I can't.
Right. It won't be at any point of time where technology will kill our jobs. It is more of a supporting role out here. Right.
Yes, yes.
Holiday on a beach or holiday on a mountain? What is your favorite, holiday pattern?
For me, it's both. I do a lot of hiking and all, and I love beach. For me, it's both.
Right. Thank you for those, very quick answers and sharing your thoughts with us. We have finally, come to an end towards the end of this podcast. So thank you, Sai, for your valuable time and sharing your industry inputs with us. Obviously, the listeners will be, more than happy to sort of, get in touch with you. So I'm sure that you are there on LinkedIn and different social media platforms for our listeners to get in touch with you.
Sure, sure, definitely,
Sure.
definitely. Yeah. Thanks,
Perfect.
Subhashis. Thank you, team, and thanks, Sudan.
Thanks for listening patiently. We hope this podcast have added value to your time with us. With a lot of great content on the lineup, be sure that you have already followed us. For more exciting content and groundbreaking certificate programs, head over to udanaviationacademy.com. Thank you.